Hey everybody, welcome back to TingleCon. My name is FamCam ASMR, and this is part 3 of a 3-part series of LGBTQIA. You just saw Scan ASMR, you just saw Jama ASMR, and now the finale of this series, Riley Rosie. And we're super
Oh,
honored to have you here. You and I have been friends for a very long time, and I'm so glad to finally have you as part of TingleCon.
I
So
know. It's
yeah,
been 2 years, which is crazy.
yeah, it has been two years, two years of us knowing each other. Just about
Yes.
4 years now of us doing TingleCon, which
Ah,
I
I
still can't
know. I'm
believe it.
honored to be here.
For real, honored to have you. We have some questions planned out that we will go through, as well as some fan questions. Now they will be a lot of the same questions that you saw with Scan and Jama, and I may throw in a few on my own, but without further ado, let's get started. So, before we get through those questions, though, I'd like to start with something that has basically nothing to do with the topic on hand because, we got to ask this question. What first got you into ASMR?
Man, what first got me into ASMR is a similar thing I think a lot of people get into ASMR for. I couldn't sleep and nothing
Yeah.
else was working. Just no, absolutely nothing else was working. So I had a friend who recommended it to me like 3 or 4 years ago at this point, and it started with a lot of the no talking, hand close-ups, different tapping, everything, but then that slowly just rolled into discovering the rest of the amazing world of ASMR.
Mhm. That's often how it goes because I too could not sleep for the life of me. I came across a video by Review Tech USA where he put out an ASMR unboxing of the NES Classic. Because at the time that was canceled by Nintendo, so it was a rare hot item,
Mm.
and he happened to come across one at a GameStop. A nice couple just had one in the back that knew him, and they decided to sell it to him above asking price, obviously, but not
Yeah.
by much, not like scalper level like you saw everywhere on the internet. But yeah, so he decided to unbox an ASMR because for years he used ASMR videos to help him sleep because
Mm.
because around 2012ish he worked a night shift at a gym, and it
Oh,
gave him
wow.
so much anxiety, and ASMR is what helped him get through, and he's been a huge addict ever since. And when I came across that video, I was sold on the idea, and I started to go down a rabbit hole myself, and the rest is history.
Right. I can't sleep without it. I put it on every night, and if I don't, I'm like restlessly sleeping. So need it.
For real. So can you talk about your channel for a bit? Introduce the people who might not know about it. I,
Yeah. First of all, hi, I'm Riley Rose. I got my wisdom teeth out like 4 or 5 days ago. So I have like a slight, it's not bad, but you might notice that I look a little different in some videos. I mostly stream live on Twitch, but I've been slowly integrating more into the YouTube world. I really like to tell people that you kind of just never know what you're going to get at my channel, but it's always going to be really fun and super relaxing. I do a lot of twin ASMR where I will dress up in different characters, pre record segments, and kind of act back and forth with myself, as well as just doing kind of your traditional tapping and scratching is my favorite. So I do a lot of that as well. Just kind of really work to cultivate a super safe and comfortable place where everybody can be weirdos if they want to, because I just want
that's why I
everybody to
fit in.
come. Yes, exactly. That's why you were like one of the first to fit in. It was like, oh, you're weird. Come on down to Riley Town. So yeah, it's just honestly, I love streaming so much. I hope that if you guys watch this and haven't joined me yet, you decide to, because it is always a fun time and relaxing.
Absolutely. And I gotta say, yesterday, as of the time of recording this, you streamed some scary games while still recovering from your wisdom teeth surgery. That blew my mind because when I had my wisdom teeth out, I was completely incapacitated for a few days. Like I mixed too much Vicodin and ice cream, and it was a bad time.
Oh man, yeah,
Yeah.
mine has been pretty good. I got really lucky. It was like day one was pretty rough, and by day two, it was like soft food still to this day, but I can actually open my mouth all the way. So that's exciting.
For real. How did you get started in creating ASMR?
I was watching it for a long time, and one of my friends who kind of told me about it had kind of participated in my early days of streaming. And I started with video games
Right.
because I have a whole background in production and production in live entertainment and sports. So I already kind of knew the live aspect of it, but what I didn't know was Twitch and how that culture went. So video game streaming wasn't exactly going anywhere because I hardly knew what I was doing with it anyways. And
I couldn't tell, to be honest.
I mean, if you, I watched some old video game clips and I thought it was so cool because I would use like one solid colored light with no other light. And it's like, you couldn't even see me. My head was like down here. Like it was, when I look back, that was for real. Learning steps, but I had an amazing streamer named Rathan who is a Smite streamer, and he reached out to me because we had talked about ASMR before, and he was like, have you ever thought about streaming it? I was like, nope, I didn't even know there was a category for it. I'm new to Twitch. I only know how to video game. And he was like, look, I had already been wearing wigs and costumes. That's always been a big part of who I am anyway. So he's like, you already do the costume part. I think people will like it. Why don't you get a Blue Yeti? And he actually helped me get it, which was amazing. And then sat down with me and was like, send me a recording and I'll tell you maybe some tweaks you need to do, because he had watched a lot of live streams at that point. And I had only been streaming for a few days and just got this like overwhelming support from the amazing people in the ASMR community. So it just really took off and just became so much fun. I started doing it in 2020 when the pandemic hit, and it was such
Yeah.
a lifeline of connecting with people and helping myself and other people kind of relax and hang out during that time. So it just took off in such an unexpected and wonderful way. I don't see myself stopping anytime soon.
Please don't. Please
Yeah,
don't stop
hope
it anytime
I
soon.
say that and I'm like, why did I even say that? Because there's no chance.
Exactly. And yeah, truth be told, we all especially needed it in 2020. We needed that kind of connection more than ever, not just with people online, because at that time we couldn't really spend time with anybody in person,
Mm,
but also particularly ASMR, because it's relaxing in nature, it's caring, and there's so much trust built within this community, at a level that I've never seen before joining the community whatsoever.
right.
No disrespect to people I know IRL. Yeah, I have that trust level with them too, but it's something that really comes natural with this kind of community. It's not something that comes natural at that level anyway elsewhere.
Right.
It's something you kind of have to feel around for, whereas in ASMR, it's just there and you know it.
Right. You're kind of testing if IRL people are a safe space when you first meet them for a little bit. And versus ASMR, you can kind of gauge as soon as you get in there, like, oh, this is a place I want to be. These are people who are so nice. You know, you have mods who are welcoming, you have
Mm-hmm.
people. I see so many people in the same communities, which I love. It's like, oh my God, I know you. I just saw you on this person's stream and you're here. That's so cool. And I
Yeah,
love that.
it's always amazing when that happens. And yeah, truth be told, there are a few bad eggs in this community too. Obviously, I'm not going to name names, and please, nobody in the chat name names either. We don't want to spread drama. But I'm just saying, I'm just trying to make a point that yeah, sometimes you still do need to be careful, but it's pretty rare.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty rare. No matter where you go in the ASMR community, you're gonna find some great people, and once in a while when you come across somebody who is a bad egg, don't sweat it. Just get out of there, move on.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be a lot more people that will lift you up,
Yeah,
and
it's
Riley
true.
is one of them, I guarantee it.
Oh, that's so sweet. I definitely have had people in my communities that I almost had a hard time letting go of, just because I was so scared of like, will people still support? Like, this person has almost pretended to, this person's been here for a
Yeah.
while, but I've just learned you take out the trash and a million other lovely people are always there just waiting to kind of be more present in your community anyways.
Yeah, you take out the trash, the place no longer stinks, and you can have a party.
So true.
That is the worst metaphor on earth.
No, I like it.
What is the importance or role of gender/sex and sexual orientation in ASMR, and why is it so important for people to understand?
I think a big thing that I hope is understood by people who maybe are not under the LGBTQ umbrella is that being, like I identify as bisexual, and
Yeah.
being gay, being bisexual will always intrinsically be a part of who I am and how I operate in the world. It just will be, no matter what it is. And when it comes to ASMR, I worked to cultivate a safe space for anybody who's under the LGBTQ umbrella. So, in some ways, it doesn't influence my actual ASMR in a sense. Like, it's not influencing the triggers I do. I wouldn't even say it's the costumes. Actually, I take that back thinking about it, because being open and who I am includes wearing these costumes.
Hmm.
And when I do, I feel so myself and so affirmed in my gender. Like, I am a cis woman, but being gay and bisexual and going through that coming out process just allowed me to be more of who I ever thought that I could be. I've always been a person who likes wigs, likes costumes, feels very comfortable in them. So embracing who I am in every way just empowers me to embrace more and more as I learn about myself and grow. It affects my community deeply. There's been a few times I basically have like almost stopped stream because of really not okay comments happening in my
Mm.
stream, and having to block people and ban people who I thought were cool, who just asked inappropriate questions, who just said inappropriate things that maybe they don't even understand the extent of harm that could be done. And I'll teach them before I kind of ban or block them. And
Yeah.
I feel almost bad, teaching them. And I maybe, it could be seen as I'm not giving them a second chance or something. But the people who are in my community, I have lots of gay people in my community. I have two mods that are trans and another one who is non binary. I need to protect them. So, in that way,
Mhm.
it deeply influences my ASMR and community, because I take on a community leader role and want to be an example of what having a safe space means. And it means educating people and taking that upon myself to do so, but also letting it be known that even if you need some time to be educated, if it's coming from ignorance and not hate, I just don't have room for that, because so many of these people are looking to ASMR and that safe space because they deal with that in their everyday life, anyways.
Absolutely. And on the topic of education, that is part of why we have this panel, because we want to help in educating people in LGBTQIA plus awareness. And I'm amazed I said that without stuttering.
Way to go.
It's critical that people not only have awareness, but know how they can help, how they can protect those who are vulnerable, and just be a kind, loving, caring person, because
Mhm.
people who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community deserve just as much love and respect and safety as the rest of us do.
Absolutely.
It's 2022. We are long overdue for equality, and obviously we have a long way to go for that. But I'm proud of the societal progress that has been made,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm glad to see it continue growing. And we want to be a force for good in that. And that's one of many reasons why I have so much respect for you, Riley, because you are a force for good in that sense, and of course many other senses.
Thank you. Thank you. I really respect that, TingleCon would want to take some time to have a panel that is specifically about these sort of issues, because I do think that it helps just people be aware that they're not aware. It's one
Hmm.
thing to support a community. I think most people who are watching this are definitely, accepting and everything else, but there's an additional layer of education, like we're talking about. It's not just support, it's educating yourself so that you are not the person accidentally going over these boundaries, accidentally
Yeah,
hurting somebody, but also, like you said, learning how we can all be better at protecting these vulnerable communities.
exactly. What is your favorite ASMR video you've created, specifically over on YouTube or Patreon? And what is your least favorite?
Such a good question. That's a great question. I think my favorite video that I've created specifically for YouTube and Patreon would have to be a self-love meditation that I have.
Yes.
It has a lot of really great visual triggers. I actually have very big puffy purple hair, and I have all these flowers that are in it, and I like to do visual triggers with green screen gloves. So you just turn the green screen on and kind of put them in front, and I had nothing but these really soft and slow flower visuals, and the visuals actually showed up. I intentionally put some green flowers in my hair to get them to kind of show up on that as well, and it's just nothing but encouraging you to kind of take this moment to relax, really think about how you are viewing yourself, and really zoom out to how you view others, how others view you, and how we can really internalize that. And just ends with kind of nonstop personal affirmations for anybody that I think anybody can connect to. When it comes to Twitch, one of my favorite videos I ever did was actually a comic book stream where I made my own comic book panels and did the comic book makeup with the dots and lines and everything.
I remember
And
that.
it
That
was
was a good time.
great. Yeah, I have another one coming up soon that I'm really excited about. So I just on that same, a lot of my content is a lot of fighting self-doubt, personal affirmation, self-love, just because that's a battle I think everybody goes through, and it's definitely something I constantly fight and go through. And so I had a like evil Riley show up in the comic, and she was just like, give up, you suck, all this other stuff. And
A
I
derivative of everyone's favorite Mean Riley.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, me actual mean Riley is where chat comes and consents to me
Roasting
being
the crap
literally
out of
mean
them.
and roasting the crap out of them. And that one's always a fun one and a release for myself in a different way. But yeah, she just came in and was really pushing, like, you should doubt yourself, you should do this. And I actually had chat like fight her with me. It was like, I can't defeat her by myself. Like, you guys help me put some positive affirmations. It was so cute. It was like hearts and nonstop nice things, and we defeated her together. It was so sweet and fun. My least favorite my least favorite one, it's only my least favorite because it just was stupid hard to put together for a stupid idea. It's for St. Patrick's Day. And it's on Patreon, and I did it live on Twitch first. I was a leprechaun, and I just made the mistake. I like didn't try the outfit on first before I recorded. I usually try to when I get it, just so I know. And like the hat was too small, and the beard that was attached to the hat, and it like kept riding up like up here
Oh no.
into my mouth. And I pre-recorded the segment as me as the leprechaun, and I got my green screen completely set up, and then sat down and was like, let's check the green screen. Oh right, I'm a leprechaun, I'm green. So then I had to switch to my blue screen, and like the blue screen holder I had like fell down, and it bumped all of my lights, and I had to redo them. Like, and then it was literally a 10-minute segment. It was a 10-minute segment. So it was like 3 hours of preparation, and I filmed this 10-minute thing. And I just kind of was like, I should film more. But honestly, I had learned everything I could about leprechauns that day, and there just wasn't much else that I felt like I could go off of. So I just kind of ran out of ideas. So I was like, all right, well, I guess that was it. So it was only like, people loved it because it was so funny, but it was my least favorite just because it was such a pain in the ass for little to no reward.
Oh yeah. That's how it goes a lot of the time. And truth be told, I gotta say, the beard going up in your nose and mouth, that's kind of realistic because real beards do that all the. Oh yeah. That
oh
happens.
My God. It was awful.
Guys in the chat with beards, back me up on this. It happens.
My God. Yeah, I had no clue because it was all. I'd be like, what did I am a leprechaun, like trying to kind of like pretend I'm combing it and pulling it down at the same time. Yeah, that was a lot. So kudos to everybody with beards.
Yeah. So some LGBTQIA plus ASM artists you enjoy and might recommend to the audience.
Number one person who comes to mind is Julieta ASMR.
Yes.
I love her. She's so just supportive, and she's like the definition of that safe space we have been
Hmm.
talking about. She's so fierce in the way that she just operates in the world, and she's not afraid to be herself, and she's not afraid to just fight for other people like that. One thing that I really, really push the ASMR community to kind of work on and do, because it's a big just blind spot that it even like it took me so long to actually find these kind of channels, is looking for channels who are trans and non-binary ASMR artists,
Yeah.
just because it's definitely not the mainstream ASMR. And it, like, I really realized about like a month ago, or it was a few months now ago, during Pride Month, there was all these, bisexual, pansexual, lesbian, gay, all these different ASMR artists that I really enjoy supporting. But I just figured that there was such a big hole even in my consumption of ASMR, and it was trans and non-binary artists. So I have a little list of some of my favorites. There's Twilight Time ASMR, the ASMR Prince, the oh, that is still the ASMR Prince, Dennis ASMR, and then there's another one I love, Shinobi Whispers. These are all trans and non-binary ASMR artists that are amazing. You can actually find a playlist of a lot of their videos on YouTube. It's just under transgender ASMR, and it's literally like binder fitting role plays, which I think is awesome, gender affirmations for dysphoria, and like there's just so many incredible videos that are specifically catered to not just the LGBTQ audience, but specifically for trans and non binary people. And I just do think that that's a big blind spot that all of us may have a little bit when it comes to ASMR creators.
Absolutely. Amen to that. So we have some fan questions that have been submitted to us by
Mm.
three creators who are LGBTQIA plus. All of them are fantastic. You should check them out. First one is from our dear friend Julieta, which, by the way,
Ooh.
we wanted to get. She was on the LGBTQI panel last year, and we wanted to get her back on, but unfortunately, she can't make it. But fortunately, it's because she's getting married.
I was gonna say she's getting married to her girlfriend or fiance
Exactly.
now, and then wife. So yeah, what a good reason to have to miss the gay panel.
Yeah. It's absolutely worth it. Congratulations to you, Huli.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so first question she asks, what's something you'd like to say to the young people who are watching, who are questioning or not sure if they are part of LGBTQIA plus community?
That's a great question. I would say that being in the community, being gay, queer, lesbian, bisexual, anything you identify as, to me, is one of the hardest, incredible journeys that you may take in your life. It's definitely, it's hard. It's hard to know. Growing up, I didn't even know the term bisexual was not a super popular term when I grew up. So I would kind of waver back and forth every day. It was like, oh, that boy's so cute. And then I'd come to school the next day. And it was like, no, that girl's cute. So I'm a lesbian. And I actually went home one day and like cried because I was like, my life's going to be
Yeah.
so hard because I'm a lesbian. And then the next day I went to school and it was like, oh, but that boy's cute. I'm losing my mind. Like, it was just like, I don't know what's going on. And it wasn't until I kind of got the chance to get out a little bit. I actually have a minor in human sexuality because I literally was so confused. I was just like, that would be interesting and maybe steer me in the right direction. And it definitely did. So I just think that, like we're doing today, educational resources are amazing. Do not be afraid to reach out for help. There's resources all over the place now on the internet, safe spaces, just actual organizations that are set up to help anybody who is maybe even under the rainbow. Like it's okay to be questioning. It's okay to continue to be questioning. I know many people who have continually changed their labels, pronouns, sexuality as they are going through life, because it is a spectrum. And like I said,
Mhm.
it's a journey and it's just a never ending one, because everybody, no matter if you're straight or under this umbrella or cis or trans, we are all constantly growing and evolving people. So allow yourself to be on the journey, allow yourself to try new things, and allow yourself to reach out to people who you really think will understand and kind of help you explore through that period. It's scary for sure. There's so many scary parts about it, and it's incredibly hard to kind of figure out where you lie, whether you do it all on the spectrum. So I just encourage you to be brave and be bold and embrace whatever feels like it could be you at the time. It might change later, but right now, if you're questioning if you are a certain way, embrace that and see how it feels. And again, just continue on the journey, because at a lot of points, it is beautiful and lovely, and you unlock new things about yourself that you might not even have known are possible.
That's really solid advice. Julieta also asks, what would you tell your young self when/if you were in the closet?
The advice I would give my young self is very similar to the advice that I just gave, and it's to not be so scared and again embrace that part a little bit. And that's horrible advice. It's straight up horrible advice in a lot of ways, just because it's hard advice. And I think
Absolutely.
even if I time traveled and went back to my younger self and tried to tell her that, there would still be a lot of just hesitation and unsureness. And I didn't know at the time, like the more people I kind of told that I even was thinking about feeling this way, the more people just affirmed me. They supported me. A lot of them even shared the same feelings with me in a lot of surprising and unexpected ways, unexpected people. And it slowly but surely just became something that just got easier and easier to both accept within myself and just start cluing in the people around me a little bit. What was super surprising was the amount of people who were like, I'm not surprised. It was like, oh, y'all knew. I barely did, but apparently you guys did. And the amount of people who, again, knew but were still supportive were just so awesome and unbelievably kind and supportive. That's partially bad advice, because I also didn't live in a household that, like, my parents understood. They basically were kind of like, we don't get what bisexuality is. I don't understand. Um, but we'll try to support you. Like, we're not going to kick you out of the house or anything. We will do our best, I guess. And they've done pretty okay. Like, there's definitely some stuff they really don't understand still about it. They don't understand the need for like pride. They're like, why do you need to, make it a part of, do you have to be the gay A smartest? Do you have to be the bisexual person at Pride showing it off? And the answer is yes, because we do spend time in the closet. It's so nice to be out there and celebrate. So my advice would have just been to be a little bolder and to be a little less afraid to actually be myself.
Absolutely. And truth be told, considering that advice, I actually think it's great advice, because on the topic of bullying, a lot of bullies tend to back off when they know you're secure about yourself.
Yeah.
They don't mess with you. They target the insecure people because they know that those people are going to have a reaction, and that's what they want. They want to tear somebody down. And if you're proud of who you are, they're not going to make you feel like crap for who you are. It's just not going to happen. So,
and they might try, but it'll
they
affect
might
you less.
Yeah, exactly. They might
secure.
try, but they won't be as brazen as they will with others.
Yeah.
Per se. So, yeah. Once you feel comfortable, let that pride out.
Absolutely. I think it's an important thing for all of us, honestly, like finding that security and confidence and passion, because it really does help anybody who's judging you or tearing you down or anything. It just rolls off your back. It doesn't matter as much. There's a lot of insecure people who will try to continue to attack people who are secure in who they are. There's so many people who are almost fearful of the LGBTQ community. And I believe a lot of that does come from just the fact that these are people who aren't secure in themselves.
Right.
So
exactly.
They're scared of people who aren't afraid to be themselves. They're literally scared of that idea, and the idea that somebody could so passionately and confidently be themselves, because they don't know how to do that for them. So you are your, best weapon. Your self-love and self-confidence will be your best weapon, I think, for pretty much anybody, but definitely helps when you're questioning and a little afraid of being gay.
Absolutely. Last question from Julieta is who is your favorite gay icon?
Oh my goodness. So funny. Every once in a while, I'll sit and kind of just just ponder upon the life that I have currently. Like, how did I become this wig wearing, costume having creator, character maker, whatever? And then I think about those who have influenced me when I grew up. And the biggest one would be Tim Curry. I saw
I didn't
Rocky
know Tim
Horror
Curry's gay.
Tim Curry, I do believe, is actually straight. However,
Oh.
the portrayals that he has had throughout his life are very gender bending. So it's kind of hard.
Oh.
And that opens up a whole can of worms of like, there weren't exactly a lot of like out actors at the time, but it also then became incredibly hard to have some perversive stories told. And Rocky Horror Picture Show was one that just came and like burst through that and was like, we're weird. We have all sorts of gender bending going on. And Tim Curry completely just became that role with no qualms or problems. Some people and
Nice.
actors in that movie look back and are like, I didn't love that movie, honestly. And Tim Curry has never said a thing. So it's, he's an interesting one because he did have a lot of portrayals kind of gender bent, but also really embraced it. And that just really inspired me growing up. I was in production of Rocky Horror Picture Show where I was his character that
Oh,
just
nice.
really, oh yeah, it was like one of the best times of my life ever. So he definitely was incredibly important. There is a creator by the name John Cameron Mitchell, and he wrote and directed a movie called Hedwig and the Angry Inch. That is a musical that then became like a Broadway musical. Neil Patrick Harris was in it when it was
Love
on
Neil
its like
Patrick Harris.
right, incredible, also an
Big fan of
incredible
How I Met Your
person.
Mother.
Yes, and he literally like embraced that role so well too. I mean, he is a gay man, so definitely a huge inspiration there. And
Yeah.
John Cameron Mitchell, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, is this really incredible story about identities and forced identities and trying to make your way through the world when you are confused because you're not identifying with how the rest of the world sees you, and just what kind of emotions and hurtful feelings that can create in somebody. Also, there's an entire scene at the beginning where he kind of walks into a hotel room and it's just littered with wigs. There's just wigs like ceiling to floor. And I remember about like a year ago, after I'd been streaming, I watched it with one of my friends at the time, and they literally just were like, that's you. And it's like, I look around my stream room,
I
I'm
was
like,
thinking the same
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, 100%. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen Hedwig and the Angry Inch, I very much recommend it. It's a rock musical with some amazing music and just an incredible message I think lots of people can just identify with, but especially people in the LGBTQ community, because it is about just making your way through a world that has certain expectations for you, and just how it can feel and the journey you have to take when you don't align with those expectations.
Fantastic. Next up is our good friend Calliope Whispers.
Hmm.
Very talented ASMRs you should check out. She asks, has your sexual orientation influenced your ASMR content? For example, with role plays or storylines or content ideas?
I think more than anything, it just does embolden me to really get into a character, no matter what it is or who it is. I think if I had started my ASMR channel, I don't know, like 5, 6 years ago, obviously that's kind of before ASMR became such a mainstream thing that it is today in a lot of ways. But
Yeah.
I don't think I would be able to make the kind of characters that I do. And I think my best work is when I'm sitting and talking to myself with a character I just created, fighting with myself, talking with myself, laughing with myself. I just don't think I'd be able to do that without the work I've done to be so secure in my sexuality, because just feel like that part of me that has been so now understood and embraced, just knowing like I am who I am, like that feeling has just completely shed those insecurities of like, oh my God, would somebody look at my ASMR content and think this is super weird? Because I've done some weird ones. I did Kratos from God of War. I've
That
done
was the
Mimir from
best.
God of War. Oh, those are some of my best.
You're
And
a Wario also.
I did Wario, Mario, Luigi. I like doing male characters as well. And
Yeah.
I don't think I'd also be able to embrace those characters as much because it's like, oh, I'm a girl, I should be feminine full time. I definitely have had people who like come into chat and they're like, oh, a mustache, I gotta go. And it's like, are you seriously so
What are you hating
adverse
on
to the
facial hair, y'all?
idea? Right. And you're so adverse to the idea that this hot girl or whatever has a mustache on that you can't even stay in stream. It's like, wow. And I think I would have faltered even at somebody saying that and been so nervous and insecure. And nope, I don't care
Now
at
you're
this
like,
point.
goodbye.
Yeah, completely. I'm like, no problem. Let me go get, I have a whole freaking drawer that's just labeled hats, face pieces, facial hair. Like,
Hell yeah.
I don't know how many beards and mustaches are in them, but it just emboldens me to make the weirdest content ever because I've already accepted I am who I am.
Right on. I'm glad to hear this. Do you feel that ASMR has been open and inclusive for LGBTQIA+? And are there more ways that you believe it could be more open and inclusive?
I think yes and no. I just think yes and no. And it just touches on a lot of stuff we talked about earlier. I really think that, like, most people I think I know, creators in the ASMR community are completely loving and open. There's
Yeah.
many bisexual and gay and lesbian creators that I know, and a few non-binary ones as well. I do think overall a lot of the creators that I know definitely are embracing that and more than happy to support that. I definitely think like community members in general, like we said, there might be a few bad eggs, and I have a very interesting view because I actually work to mark and say that my community is an LGBTQ safe space. So we rarely do have people who come in being a certain, way or homophobic or transphobic, especially at this point, because I've kind of booted all of them already. So I do think that a lot of community members are supportive and accepting. A lot of creators are supportive and accepting. But there's definitely, I still have people who come in and they're just like, are you a man? It's like, what? They're like, I need to know. And it's such a weird energy to be like, I just need to know if you are a man in a wig because I can't be here and relax or enjoy in a certain way if that's even true. So it's the internet. It's definitely out there. I think mostly, I think mostly we're in a good supportive place with that. But again, I do really encourage any viewer out there, gay viewers, LGBTQ viewers in general, straight viewers, cis viewers. I really encourage you to do research in particular to incorporate somebody who is non-binary or trans or lesbian to be a part of the ASMR that you watch. I even realized I needed to do that work to actively find trans and non-binary creators. I didn't have enough people on my radar like that. So there are a lot of Reddit threads, even like easy Google searches, the playlist I talked about earlier, transgender ASMR. There's easy ways to find just a cultivation of different creators. And that may not be something that really affects your ASMR viewage. Like you might just find a new ASMR person you really love. You might find it really interesting to watch something specifically for gender dysphoria, even if you don't have it. It might just help you understand what that feeling kind of is for people while relaxing. Like, I don't think that it has to change your experience with ASMR. There's plenty of creators who may not even involve being under that umbrella into their ASMR, but you can still just have a new cultivation of different kind of creators, and there's no like way, shape, or form that that's a bad thing. And you might learn something really new along the way. So I just think it's, again, like doing that research, watching panels like this, and then going on Reddit to see what kind of new creators you can find.
Absolutely. That's solid advice. That's one of many reasons why I love the ASMR community so much, because It's also a great way to learn about a bunch of different kinds of people and their struggles, a bunch of different communities that you may not fully understand, but you want to be supportive of. And
Mm-hmm.
the more you understand them, obviously, the better you can at being supportive. And ASMR is a fun, chill way to do that. Have you felt more comfortable or secure in your sexual orientation since starting ASMR content creation because of ASMR or the community?
I would say yes. And in a way, I would say that it definitely has inspired me to be more comfortable or secure with who I am in every single sense and every single part. And it's definitely because of the ASMR community and because of the community that I have and have built, just because the more ideas I put out there, the weirder ideas I put out there, there's always people just willing to support and who want more of that. So
Yeah.
honestly, ASMR has just emboldened me with that idea of like accepting I am who I am on a much larger scale of I am who I am and I make what I want to make. No matter what kind of weirdness it might be, there's people out there who are going to love it and support it. There might be some people it's not for them, but that's why there's thousands of ASMR channels out there.
Yeah, quite literally thousands now.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty nuts. Do you regularly consume LGBTQIA plus targeted ASMR content? And if so, do you find it helpful? Or if not, why? Is there a type of LGBTQIA plus oriented content you would like to see?
What that I'd like to see is super interesting. I I do consume that kind of ASMR, and it's again because I've kind of gone to look for it. I also definitely, I think the LGBTQIA community tends to flock together. So it was very surprising in a way, but also not surprising at all when June rolled around. And it was like so many ASMR artists I love on my timeline were like, I love being bi, I love being gay, I love being lesbian, I love being non binary. And I create this content and I came out this many years ago. And it was like, damn, I really do follow, even on accident, people I didn't even know who were part of the community. But like, I really follow a lot of people who identify in the community. So I do think to an extent we tend to flock together a little bit, even unintentionally. As far as oriented content that I would like to see, there's not anything that particularly comes to mind, mostly because the ASMR community is so ginormous in general. I do think that it'd be really easy to find the kind of content I would want. What I really want is just affirmations again on it's okay to be who you are, because while I
Yeah.
am confident and emboldened by it, there's just some days where, I just don't feel that way. So it's pretty easy to find that content, but maybe it could be really cool to find content specifically for it's okay to be who you are if you are in the community. And I'm sure it's out there. That's something I haven't seen, but I haven't looked for yet.
Absolutely. That is definitely something we need more of. Um, thank you, Calliope, for your great questions.
Mm-hmm.
And last of the fan questions comes from uh, dear friend of mine, Minx Laura 123 ASMR. Um, she asks, which celeb would you most like to do an ASMR collab with?
Oh my god, I'm like, there's just so many people who come to mind. The first one who comes to mind, quite honestly, is Lady Gaga, just because I
Yeah.
would die to see her do ASMR. Like, I would just like, what is her ASMR like? I don't know. She's such a sassy, East Coast personality. She's big personality. She's kind of, become a little bit more demure in her looks in a lot of ways since like the meat dress from the 2000s and everything, but she obviously still has that in her and has that ability to embrace that in her. So I think it'd just be so fun to sit down. What can we come up with? I did a Lady Gaga stream where I sang
Yeah.
songs from all of her different albums while changing into looks that replicated the album covers, or just what she always dresses a particular way for each era that she's in, which again, that's why I think she'd be so good at ASMR, because it's just like, here's the idea we come up with. I'm sure she would have a million ideas on ways to really make it like a good concept and make it like complete. I have this costume, I have this costume. I think she'd probably just be so incredible at it. So I think that's my final answer. I didn't even know what our collab would be. I would just sit there the whole time in the back, like I'll be the heavy breathing tingles, and she can take the rest from there. Absolutely. I think that would be so fun.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I'm pretty sure that when she sees you, she would be the one in the background doing that.
I don't know what I would do.
Whoever gets starstruck first loses.
It would be me. The moment that I don't know who am I calling about the Lady Gaga ASMR collab? I don't know. Her like assistant, her manager, I don't know. But the moment like that person answers the phone, I'm gonna hang up first and then call back just because it's like, oh no. And then I'll call back and be like, sorry, we got disconnected.
Yeah.
Is Lady Gaga still available for an ASMR collaboration? And I just know the day of I will be pacing around my apartment. I will be
I bet.
sweating. I will be
I
like,
probably would too.
I like how I'm saying this, like she would come to my apartment. Like I wouldn't go to whatever amazing studio or house she has or multiple house, whatever. Yeah, she's coming to my apartment. No big deal. Yeah, I would be freaking out. I'd probably almost not do it too. I know myself. I would like be on my way and be like, no, I don't deserve it. What am I going to do? I'm going to frick it up or something. And then I'd go and it'd be amazing. So I'd be starstruck from the beginning, but that is my final answer.
That's usually how it goes. A lot of times when people are starstruck, particularly when they're creators themselves, eventually that feeling subsides and you remember they're human just like you.
Right.
They have accomplished a lot, but again, so have you, and that's just what you got to remember. Like just remember that in the end, no matter how much praise and attention they get from the whole world, they still are a human being with feelings. They're living and breathing. They're not made of ones and zeros, hopefully. I mean, we live in an era where we can still safely assume that, but that won't last much longer. Yeah.
Yes.
But that's why in-person concerts, COVID aside, are so valuable, because you get to see up close and personal that they are human just like you, and not not just pixels on a screen. But yeah, that's often where the disconnect comes from, because a lot of us are trained by society to see and I don't mean to talk down on celebrities in any shape or form.
I get
it. But yeah, we're a lot of us are trained to see these people on TV or on the silver screen as people who are much higher than us. They may like in most cases have a lot more money than us and have a lot more fame, but in the end, most of them just see the world the way you and I do. They just have to deal with people constantly coming to them when they're in the public. That's the big difference.
It's true. I
but
promise,
in the end,
Keith, when I'm walking up to Lady Gaga's mansion for our ASMR collab, I will get to the steps. I'll be like, Keith said she's just like me. We're just the same, and I will go in confidence.
If there's any ASMR artist out there that Lady Gaga is just like, it is Riley Rosie, no question. I mean, you approach ASMR in a very similar way that she approaches music, with the flashy wigs and costumes and all that, adding a lot of spice and a lot of fun to it in a way that not many others do. It brings a lot of uniqueness, and it's great to see that.
Thank you.
Do you get viewers saying you helped them be more open about their sexuality?
Right. I definitely have had a lot of people share with me that is true, that I've been able to help them kind of even be open to the idea of exploring what that could mean for them. I'm a really open person, especially on my Twitch channel. I talk a lot about mental health, my sexuality, the different ways that those have intersected, and the journeys that I've gone on trying to understand and work through both of those things. So even people not exploring have just shared with me that my ability to be so open really empowers them to feel the same way. And I definitely have had people who specifically tell me that me being so open about my sexuality and presenting it in the way that I stream, and I do charity streams for trans and gay charities that I love, they really just appreciate that and feel safe to talk about how they may feel that same way in this community, even if they're not out yet. Like, this is a community they can be out in, and I love that. One thing I do that, like, please, if you're a creator, like, introduce this on your stream, do it on Discord. I don't care. I want to spread this idea as far as I can. I have a channel point redemption that's very low and cheap called a pronoun roll call.
And I stole it.
With
your permission.
You don't even need my permission. Like, go off. I appreciate that. But like,
I always want to give credit where credit's due,
Well, I appreciate it. I literally, what it is if somebody redeems it, I tell chat like, hey, if you feel comfortable, please let us know what pronouns you'd like to be called. And one thing I noticed that was just so awesome was a lot of people would participate, and slowly but surely there was just a few people who started sprinkling in new pronouns. Like, there were just people who, I thought were just this pronoun and even introduced themselves as that with past pronoun roll calls. Then all of a sudden they also added they, them, or changed it completely to they, them. And it was like, oh, first of all, thank you for sharing so I can help affirm you on this journey. But okay, like, they have not explicitly come out to our community as anything or to me as anything, but that's a huge way to kind of share with a community that you're exploring or just changing your identity. Again, we talked about the spectrum, the journey. People are allowed to change their pronouns as well. You're allowed to test out new things and then maybe decide something else is better for you. So it's such a cool way to kind of see where people might be at on their journey, and if they're willing to share even a small part of that with us. So I just like, please do it on your channels. You can do it in Discord too. When people introduce themselves, you can encourage them to share their pronouns as well. And I always have a lot of people who, I'll have, like we mentioned earlier, there's people who come in a harmful way and they're like, are you a man? I need to know. Oh my gosh. And then there's people who really genuinely want to know the proper way to kind of address me or other people in chat. They're not sure how exactly to approach it. It is kind of a hard subject to go up and be like, hey, what's your gender? Like, that's weird.
You don't want to push it on other people who may or may not be comfortable with it, especially a stranger on the internet. Let them tell you. And of course, if you innocently get somebody's pronouns wrong, be open to be corrected about it and adjust. People will respect you for that. Don't be defensive about it. Don't intentionally continue to get it wrong, because that's not cool.
And part of that too is you, unfortunately, well, honestly, not unfortunately, you may have somebody who is a little angry back to you. And it's not your fault necessarily. You might be coming from a good place, but you're also going to have to allow that person to express how that makes them feel, just having that happen, because most likely it's something that they deal with every day in their life. So if you're able to take a step back, apologize, not get defensive, and just understand that people are gonna have a reaction, whether it's in kindness, fear, or anger, you're gonna go really far. And if if somebody hasn't given you the opportunity to tell you, a very simple way to tell somebody, one, I'm a safe space to talk about pronouns, and two, I'm open to hearing about yours, is you have to tell them yours first. If you go up to somebody and you're not quite sure how to refer to their pronouns, if you just say, hi, I'm Riley, it's so nice to meet you, I use she and her pronouns, by the way, that literally gives them an idea that you are now a safe person that they can introduce themselves to. They may not, and you might just have to move on a little bit and see if you can use other context clues or the way other people refer to them. But in my experience, lots of people are really glad that you asked that and then are happy to share back with you. So sometimes it is on you a little bit not to come in and be like, what's your gender? What do I call you? Like, that comes off aggressive on the internet, whether you mean it to or not, especially. So going up and saying, hey, I'm Riley. I'm happy to be in this community. I use she, her pronouns, or I use he, them, or I use he, his. Like it immediately gives whoever you're talking to or the entire community a sense of relaxation and comfort because I don't have to worry about you. I can already tell that you are at least down with being open to the idea of sharing pronouns. And that's
Yeah,
enough to make me comfortable and will help other people too.
absolutely. The last question is from me. Um, when you first came out, did you deal with a lot of backlash with people close to you? And if you did, how did you pull through that?
I was lucky in the sense that I didn't deal with a lot of backlash. I just dealt with a lot of confusion, like just a
Mm,
lot of confusion. Being bisexual, and especially I basically identify as bisexual and pansexual. I was really, really strong on the pansexual idea and label when I first came out. For a lot of people, they do mean different things. They fall under the same umbrella. Like it kind of goes person to person on how people want to identify. And I was like really passionate about it. I was like, I am pan. I'd like to be referred to as pan, not even bi. I've kind of pulled back from that a little bit just because I'm more secure. Again, I'm more secure in both of those labels. So I don't feel the need to be quite as firm in what people need to address me as when it comes to my sexuality. And that term really confused people. Pansexual really didn't make sense to people. Are you attracted to pans? Ha ha ha. Like that was just a constant.
what?
Oh yeah, people
Like
all the time, still to
saucepans?
this day. Yes, it's like, oh, so
Oh
you
my
like
God.
pans? It's like, ha ha, like good one. Anyways, so it's just so freaking silly and ridiculous to even have that kind of question. But a lot of people just really didn't get the idea of how can you like both? Which is just so, that idea is foreign to me. How are you confused about the idea of liking both? Because to me, it just has always been that way. So I was
Yeah.
confused why people were confused, and that it was kind of hard to navigate those conversations. Like a lot of people were just determined to not understand. And then as soon as I would date a guy, it's like, oh, so you're straight now. Like there was just this constant confusion of how one can be balanced between that. And sometimes there's an unbalance. Sometimes I'm way more attracted to women and I'm like, yeah, I kind of forgot guys exist. And sometimes I'm much more into men and masculine presenting people, but I'm always into women. Like they're beautiful. Like let's just get that part straight. Like there's always women. The men just kind of waver back and forth with their attraction and importance sometimes. But that just really confused people, and navigating that conversation is still something I have to do to this day to remind people, like, just because I'm talking about this one person or even in a relationship with somebody, if I was like, doesn't mean that the other side is canceled out. So I was lucky that people weren't angry or aggressive, but the confusion behind it confused me. And sometimes I'm still learning how to navigate that conversation because I don't know how to answer the question other than being like, I just do. Like, you like one person, so I like multiple types of people, feminine and masculine presenting. It's not just female and male. Like, I just am pretty open to the person and attracted to either genitalia. So it just doesn't really, that part does not matter to me. Their gender isn't coming into my attraction. So it's still actually a conversation I'm learning how to work through just because the confusion is foreign to me as well. So again, I just kind of stick with what I know and quite honestly just share my confusion back to them. If you're confused, I'm going to ask you the same questions back. Well, what, how do you know you like both? How do you know you like one? Like, it's just, I will fire the same questions back. And often they don't know the answers either. It's like, we truly are sometimes born as we are. So if
Exactly.
people aren't willing to get there, I'll fire back until I'm done with the conversation and kind of walk away if we're not getting anywhere yet. If the end of the conversation doesn't end in, oh, I support that, no problem, I'll just walk away and I can't think about it anymore.
Exactly. Don't put up with that crap if you can avoid it.
Exactly. It's not worth it. Some things are just not worth your energy.
Exactly. Well, Riley, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having
All, yeah,
me.
all of us at TingleCon really appreciate you. Where could we find you?
You can find me. It's down here. If people see the Zoom name, it's Riley Rose with the Z at the end. So Riley Rose Z. I am on Twitch under that name, Patreon under that name. YouTube is actually ASMR Riley Rose. And yeah, like I think all of them are really great platforms, quite honestly, that I work
Mhm.
really hard on. So feel free to check
You
out
work
any of
harder than
those.
almost anybody I know.
I work hard. I want this, I love creating and I want to do it forever and I need the time to do it forever. I need to keep doing this cuz it's just such a big part of me now. I spend every day thinking about what else I can create. So, sometimes it doesn't even feel like hard work. It just feels like creating. And that's
Yeah,
pretty cool
work is play sometimes.
sometimes.
Huge asterisk.
Yeah, huge
work
asterisk.
work is play when you're enjoying it.
Oh yeah, there's
And
definitely times that I'm like, I gotta make the thing
yeah.
and kind of push through for that. But I really appreciate that.
Thank you once again, Riley. Really appreciate you coming on. And with that, we are done with the three-parter of LGBTQIA plus series. It's been amazing with three amazing creators: Scan ASMR, Jama ASMR, and Riley Rosie. And with that, we are out. And up next is a live panel role plays with Amy K ASMR, Shiver Me Tingles ASMR, and ASMR Jeremiah. Stay tuned because it's going to be a blast. We'll see you soon.